Hey, First Things First listeners, before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com, reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, as well as the televised version of this show, just a click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Now let's start the show. First things first, did Derrick Henry run his way to the MVP? Nick is beside himself this morning. The Cleveland Browns are back in the playoffs, so why is Baker still unsatisfied? And Chase Young makes it known he wants a piece of Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. Good morning, everyone. Jenna Wolfe, Kevin Wildes, Brandon Marshall, and Nick Wright. And Nick, I asked you this. Should Brady be scared?
Oh, he shouldn't be scared. He should be terrified, Jenna. You see that man? Coming after him. Coming after him.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, speaking of Chase Young, we start in Philadelphia. Last night's game, Washington needed a win to get in. An Eagles win, and the Giants were in, which made it all the more head-scratching when Doug Pederson pulled quarterback Jalen Hurts, trailing by only 3 early in the fourth. Nate Sudfeld came in and pretty much handed the win and the division to Washington. Afterwards, rumors swirling, centering around draft positioning for the Philadelphia Eagles. So what were you thinking, Doug Pederson?
Yes, I was coaching and to win. Yes, that was my decision solely. Nate has obviously been here for 4 years, and I felt that he deserved an opportunity to get some snaps. And listen, if there's anything out there that thinks that I was not trying to win the game, I mean, you know, Ertz is out there, Brandon Graham's out there, Darius Slay's out there. You know, all our top guys are still on the field at the end. So we were going to win the game.
Meanwhile, Jalen's like, I still have a few questions, Coach. So, Nick, let me start with you. What was your reaction to Doug Pederson saying he was, quote, coaching to win last night?
Yeah, I understand the collective outrage of everyone from the broadcasters to the fans to players on the opposing team or the team fighting to get in the playoffs. And you had a coach play a clearly inferior quarterback when that game was going to drastically impact whether or not another team got into the postseason. And the team that missed out on the postseason wasn't a nothing team. It was the 10-6 Miami Dolphins, because that's what Mike Tomlin did, and nobody cares. The hell are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like, this happens all the time in Week 17. Guess what, Giants? Guess what, Giant fans? You know why you missed the playoffs? Because you were 31st in the NFL in points. You know why you missed the playoffs? Because you started 1-7. And then when you finally started playing well in December, you lost 3 games in a row where you scored 2 touchdowns. Doug Pederson owes the Giants nothing. Now, if I'm an Eagles fan, would I have wanted to see Jalen try to execute a fourth quarter comeback? I think I would have. If I'm an Eagles fan, is there an argument to be made that Doug Pederson made the wrong choice for his team? Yeah, I'll listen to that argument. But this idea that he did a disservice to the Giants, who the hell cares? Doug Pederson don't work for the Giants. He has no loyalty to the Giants. The Giants should have handled their own business at any other point. He wanted to get Nate Sudfeld in the game for whatever reason it was, whether it was to help draft positioning, whether it was to look at him as a backup quarterback, or even if it was just to stick it to Carson Wentz. Don't care. He's allowed to do whatever he wants in week 17. So I don't understand, Brandon, why people are acting like week 17 in the NFL is this time where every team always is doing everything they can to win, when we saw throughout the NFL that's not how the week goes.
Yeah, look, I'll be quick here because I want to get Wild's reaction because he seems distraught over what you're saying. There's only a little bit that I can add to what you're saying because I see this the same way, Nick. To me, this is a Week 17 game where there is nothing on the line for the Philadelphia Eagles besides messing up their draft position and also not seeing what they have. And the reality is Doug Pederson, Wilds, he can't say the truth. You know this. How many times have we seen head coaches and players stand at the podium, talk to the media, and not say what's really on their mind? So what Doug Pederson could have said, but probably got a lot of pushback, is like, look, guys, I can care less about the Giants. Nick, you just talked about that. I don't get paid by them, all right? They don't pay me. The Tisch family, they don't pay me. So when you look at this situation for me, I'm looking at what's best for my team long term. You have a quarterback in Nate Sudfeld who's been on that roster for 4 years, and you don't know what you have. He is an unrestricted free agent. So I need to see what this guy has. He can potentially turn into trade capital. He could potentially be our backup quarterback. So I need to see if I'm going to pay him $3-4 million to back up Jalen Hurts. So Wilds, I think that this was an okay decision, and I also think that it was best for the organization.
Okay, what has happened? I thought 2020 was a terrible year, but we're off to a horrible start in 2021. Nick is saying, and I'm sorry, Nick, I don't like to start the show by saying terrible take under my breath. When you compare it to Ben Roethlisberger, who's resting for the playoffs, if sitting Jalen Hurts, who also is the future. So, Brandon, I get like seeing what you got. Jalen Hurts has completed 77 passes. Is the report card done on Jalen Hurts? Wouldn't you like to see what he looks like with a fourth quarter comeback? We were ripping Brian Flores for pulling 2 out of the game to put in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and now you're going to put in Sudfeld, and the idea that you don't know what you got for 4 years.
Though.
You don't,
but you
Brandon.
know what you have, Wilds.
He's never had a fourth quarter comeback. Wouldn't you like to see that?
Another quarter? Yeah, but another quarter tell us who Jalen Hurts is. At this point now, they know what he does well and what he needs to work on. Where's his challenges? So they're going to take the information from the last couple games, go into the offseason and say, okay, here's the notes. Here's where you need to get better. So no, I don't think another quarter would have put them in a better position. Like, this was the right thing to do for the organization because you have Nate Sudfeld. Do I pay this guy $3, $4, $5 million to be the backup? Do we let this guy ride?
4 years.
But hold on. But hold on.
Yeah, but Jenna, he hasn't had any game time.
He's had no real reps. But also, people aren't mad because he did the Eagles a disservice. They're mad by proxy because the Giants, the 6-10 Giants, the 0-5 to start the season, 1-7 in the midway point Giants got screwed here. By the way, Doug Pederson, if he was thinking about the Giants, you know what maybe he was thinking about? Guess what? The Giants would have Chase Young on their team if they didn't win in week 17 last year and cost themselves that pick. So for a million reasons, I understand what Doug Pederson's doing. Week 17, Wilds, is weird. Week 17, we had the Seahawks. They could have taken knees. Russell Wilson throws a pass to David Moore to get him an incentive. You had Tom Brady doing shovel passes to Antonio Brown. Not a lot of people talked about it, but week 17, you had the Saints let a contest winner take reps at quarterback. What? Oh, that was Taysom Hill. My bad. But still, the point holds. Week 17 is weird.
You had me going.
Week 17, you can't. If you go into the week needing someone else to help you out, you might be screwed. And by the way, Jenna, if they leave Jalen in, it's not like it's a sure thing the Eagles win. They gave Jalen a chance to take the lead, and he threw a ball in the dirt. He completed 7 passes in this football game. It's not like he was on fire. So people don't like Doug Pederson for maybe reasonable reasons, but I just think the outrage here is misplaced.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's not a sacred week, Nick. I think you make a good point. And if Doug Pederson wanted to lose the game, he would have started Carson Wentz. But if you want to see that much of Sudfeld, then start him in the second half and give him a full half to go. To take him out in the fourth quarter
That's what I was going to say. Put him in
That's
for a
fair.
full half.
That's fair.
All right, we'll
fair.
have much more on this still to come. We got to take a turn, talk some Derrick Henry. Just when you thought we were done with the days of the 2,000-yard running back, King Henry stepped up and says, yeah, not so fast. First things first, next.
What's up, First Thing First listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to First Things First.
The other standout storyline from yesterday in the NFL, Derrick Henry. God, he was in such a rush this season. Rushed for 250 yards and 2 scores yesterday to help the Titans beat the Texans and win the AFC South. Rushed for 2,000 yards this season, just the 8th player ever to do that. Rush, rush, rush. Where's he going? I never know where he's going. Brandon, what was your reaction to Derrick Henry joining the 2,000-yard club?
Yeah, look, Derrick Henry is the MVP. All right? And if he's not, it's time for us to change the way. It's time for us to change the name of this award to the quarterback award. All right? And then we also have to change our approach to how we talk about the MVP. There is only 2 people in the history of the game that's done this the way he's done it. There's Terrell Davis that rushed for 2,000 yards and 15 touchdowns, and Derrick Henry, 17 touchdowns. This is the hardest thing you can do probably in the National Football League. This is 100% injury rate. Think about that. All right, before I even get into the injury rate thing, let's talk about this whole what's harder, whether running for 2,000 yards or throwing for 38 touchdowns, 48 touchdowns with Patrick Mahomes, and also where Aaron Rodgers is at. Those guys are in a company of like almost 30 people, 30 quarterbacks who've done that before. This guy lives in a fraternity of 2, him and Terrell Davis, 2 running backs. Do you guys understand how significant this is? We're talking about a running back. Any moment, an ankle can go, a knee can go. It doesn't have to be a game-ending injury. It doesn't have to be a game, season-ending injury. We're talking about this guy being able to stay healthy this long so he can hit this mark. Most of these guys that's done it, it's only been 8. They're going into week 17 needing 150 yards, 160 yards. So it's coming down to the wire to cross the finish line. This guy needed 37 yards, and he went for 254 or something like that. This is absolutely ridiculous. So, Nick, I've been talking about this jet ski and trying to paint the picture of the MVP hierarchy for the last several weeks. I also said that if Derrick Henry goes for over 2,000 yards, he should be the MVP. These guys been going back and forth all year. Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers.
So what's it now?
All right, that's last week. You know what's better, Nick, than riding a jet ski? Riding a dolphin. That's what's better. Riding a dolphin. This is where it's at right now. Derrick Henry is the MVP. That's what it is.
All right. This is great. This is all great.
Fantastic.
And here's what I'll tell you, Brandon.
Riding a big fat dolphin.
He's right about that. You've seen a lot of people ride jet skis. Don't see many people ride dolphins. It's a great take. I'm going to meet you halfway, Brandon Marshall. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. However, he's not going to win it. He's not going to win it. There's a weird thing in the NFL where if you're so good through 14 games, you don't really have to play the 15th or 16th game. They use it against you. I didn't know it was in the bylaws, but that's what happened. So, if it's not going to be Mahomes, it certainly shouldn't be a quarterback who's just like Mahomes, just worse than him. Derrick Henry makes more sense than Aaron Rodgers, who is going to win it. Because if it is, there's two points that you didn't make, just to elaborate on it. One is the V in MVP, valuable. The last 7 weeks, the Titans are 5-2. Those 5 wins, Derrick Henry has run for 125 yards or more in all 5 wins. Their 2 losses are the 2 games he didn't win for him. So they are showing you down the second half of the season, they can't win unless he's brilliant. The other thing he has going for him is this. Even the biggest Mahomes fan or the biggest Aaron Rodgers fans would say the gap between Mahomes and Rodgers is not massive. The gap between Henry and everyone else is so to show what he leads the NFL in over the last season and a half. Do we have that full screen? I hope we do. I think we do. Because, spoiler alert, everything. He leads the NFL in everything at his position. That's since week 10 of last year. So what's the gap between him and the second most prolific rusher over that stretch? Let's show you. Oh, it's almost 1,500 yards. If you added to Dalvin Cook's total all of Ezekiel Elliott's rushing yards in this time frame, they would barely be ahead of Derrick Henry. So if you combine Dalvin Cook and Zeke into one person, you know what you get? Derrick Henry. So I don't think he's going to win MVP, Wilds. I personally would feel better about him winning it than Rodgers winning it. I do know this. He has been the most dominant player at his position, not only this year, but over the last 2 years, as far as the gap between him and everyone else at his position.
Okay, I want to say 2 things. I want to give Derrick Henry even more credit, and then I also want to tell the truth of what's happening in this segment. And Brandon, you can react to them. The first thing, giving Derrick Henry even more credit, is when Tannehill scored late in the game, that was the whole defense bit on Derrick Henry rushing, and then Tannehill rolled out. So I'm going to readjust the statistic. That should be a Derrick Henry touchdown. It was such a decoy. Nobody thought that Tannehill was going to run. That should be a Derrick Henry touchdown. The second thing that's happening in this segment, Brandon, and I think it's great teamwork and camaraderie that Nick is supporting your take. But there is an element of take my ball and go home right now from Nick Wright. That it's like, if Patrick Mahomes not going to get MVP, you know what? Taking the ball. No one's going to get it. No one's going to eat that. No one's getting it. I'm taking my ball. I'm going home. All the quarterbacks out of here. And he's looking for anything. So this is not totally on the up and up, America. I'm sorry, it's not. I don't think if Derrick Henry is writing his thank you cards, you can address it to Brandon and me and Jenna. But Nick, you don't get one. I'm sorry. We know this is an anti-Aaron Rodgers take from you, not a pro Derrick Henry take.
Oh my gosh.
But I do want to leave this segment on a serious note, because I'm not trying to make TV right now. Wow, great points there, but I'm not trying to make TV right now and just say something outlandish so people can tweet it, retweet it, post it on Instagram. I truly believe if this guy doesn't win MVP, we have to rethink how we approach this award. We have to turn it into the quarterback award, and we have to just sit down, competition committee or whoever, the Nick Wright committee, sit down and talk about what is the real essence of MVP, right? So this guy has done something that only one other guy has done. So I'm super passionate about this discussion. We have to stop having these discussions in a vacuum. So, Jen, I'm super passionate about it, and it's time to move on. But this is not for TV. This is a serious conversation.
Wilds makes no good points. Wilds is wrong, and he's misleading America.
All right, we move on now to a new segment we're calling Nick's NBA Medal. Somehow Nick doesn't have the time to text me back, but he does have the time to sit on 2 separate committees. Nick, give us the top 3 performers from the NBA weekend that was.
All right, let me just set this up for America. You might be wondering, what's the committee going to do when the NFL season's over? Transition to its side gig, which is NBA Medal Committee. We're going to go every night in the NBA, give out a gold, silver, and bronze. Monday show's even harder because we have to take all the games from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think we're starting with the bronze medalist. We haven't really gone over this. It's our first time doing it. Bronze medalist, Paul George. Hey, way off P, playoff P, who knows? But I know on a sleepy night in January, there's very few guys you'd rather have. 39 points. Kawhi Leonard didn't have it. He prevented the Clippers from having back-to-back losses for the first time all year. Kawhi Leonard, your bronze medalist. Silver medalist, Jamal Murray. While Nikola Jokic is racking up triple-doubles, Jamal Murray just drops a 36-5-4 to lead the Nuggets to a critical win after a bad 1-4 start. And then your gold medalist, there is no question about it, this might be the performance of the year. One Wardell Stephen Curry with 62 points in 36 minutes, which, by the way, does mean Steph and Draymond last night combined for 63 points. So Draymond maybe should be included in that. But Steph, 62 points, gets the gold medal as the Warriors get a much-needed win over the Blazers. Those, Kevin Wildes, are your bronze, silver, and gold medalists of the evening.
Okay, I'm going to throw the question to Brandon. Brandon, ton of points early on in the season. Nick is already claiming performance of the year, even though we're about 2 weeks into the season. Do you think, or who do you think has the best chance at eclipsing this point total this year?
Ooh, you got to go with James Harden. That's the easiest answer. That's the safest answer. James Harden.
Oh, that's
for
a good
100%. Let me throw it back to Nick real quick. Nick, so all right. You got Steph Curry, most enjoyable player to watch, reminiscent of Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, right? You have said in the past that this guy can't carry his team. Are you starting to rethink that? Because he just had a big night and he's showing us that he can potentially carry the team by himself.
What I said was I'm concerned that he can't carry his team and we need to see him do it. Performances like last night, he doesn't have to score 60 every night, but Steph gonna need to take 25 to 30 shots a night because Kelly Oubre is walking through that door, and that ain't good for them. And Draymond with his backpack threes, I don't think that's gonna get it done either.
I like this, Nick. I like the medals. It's fun every day. All right, back to the NFL now. The NFL playoffs are set. Chase Young has his sights set on Tom Brady. We are running the No Huddle next.
Is he sure?
First, stay with us.
Does he really want to go?
Hey, First Things First listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny because these days we can all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to First Things First.
Back here, First Things First, let's run the NFC playoff edition, No Huddle. We will start in New Orleans. The 2-seed Saints set to host the 7-seed Bears on Sunday. Brandon, what are the chances the Bears pull off the upset?
All right, look, there's this saying out there, any given Sunday. I truly believe that. And the reason why is because there's so many different factors that goes into every single week, right? Injuries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say that Alvin Kamara's back. Let's say that there's no injuries in the game. Then the Bears have a 5% chance of winning. And the reason why, they have the better coach, they'll be better prepared. They have the better wide receivers, the better defense. They have the better running backs. I mean, it's just not fair. The Saints have the edge, and I think this is their game to lose.
I love that Mitch Trubisky highlight. Watch this wobbly duck on a 6-yard pass. Brandon, you say any given Sunday, the Bears' only chance was if this game was going to be played on Saturday, which would have meant Kamara can't play. It looks like Kamara's going to be able to play. The Bears are not going to be able to win this game. But, Wild, you'll love this. Bonus take for something I don't think will happen. If the Bears win, this game forces Drew Brees into retirement. Too much playoff heartbreak.
Wow.
2017. 2017, they lose because of the Stephon Diggs play. 2018, they lose because of the no pass interference. 2019, the worst of them all. You lose a playoff game to Kirk Cousins, something people thought would never happen to anyone. 2020, if you lose to Mitch Trubisky, Drew might say it's enough. Time to hand the car keys to Taysom and go off into the sunset.
It's enough.
I can't tell if that's a totally serious take, but it's like a retirement match in WWE. I do think Trubisky's starting to get some Tannehill vibes. Starting to like, oh man, win some playoff games, guys. Maybe I am the answer. And I don't think Drew Brees retiring. Here's a bonus take, Nick. You gave me a bonus take. Why don't you just switch the roles then? Let Taysom be the guy, and then, here comes Drew Brees. The old veteran comes in for about 100 snaps a year, throws the ball around. A little reverse psychology from Sean Payton, Jenna.
Huge. Oh, that's
a great
smart.
take.
I like that take.
Let's head out west. We're going to get now the third chance to see the Rams and Seahawks face off. They split the regular season. Jared Goff's status still up in the air after hand surgery last week. Brandon, Seahawks were your preseason pick, so here we are, and I ask you, is Seattle a lock to beat the Rams?
Almost, Jenna, but I don't think anything is certain, and I don't want to use the word lock. But think about this. We haven't really talked about the Seattle Seahawks the second half of the season since, Russell Wilson imploded and started throwing interceptions all over the place. But this is probably one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Out of the last 7 games, they won 6 games. And then let's think about this. Wild, you had the perfect illustration to talk about this defense when you're like, they're like sneakerheads with one shoe. Because the defensive side was so bad. How do you go from being the NFL's worst defense in the history of the game, to being now the best scoring defense since week 10? This defense totally turned it around. They're healthy. They're playing so much better, and this team is scary. So I have the Seattle Seahawks in this game, not as a lock, all right, because I understand how hard it is to win a game in the National Football League, but the Rams are going to have to come with it, and they don't have little hand Jared Goff.
Yeah. Whoa, okay. Well, they might. We don't know how Goff is going to do. Yeah, that's the question I had. The Wolfpack, Jenna, howled loudly this weekend. We're all rooting for Wolford. He played excellent, so he's still there. Wolford. Nick, I'm really confused about Jared Goff's hand. Like, the fact that he had surgery, and it's like, I'll be okay in 2 weeks. I'm okay with getting Wolford some play here if Goff can't go. We just saw Kyler putting in an injured quarterback, and Kyler didn't really work. So I think the Rams could be okay either way. I think this could have a little upset potential. I'm giving it 27.5%.
All right, this is the second best game of Wild Card Weekend. We'll talk about the best game later. But you guys both keyed in on the most important part. And Brandon is a low-key NFL insider. He doesn't gloss himself as such, but he always has stories. He just doesn't always choose to break them. Brandon, I need you to pound the pavement, hit your sources to find out, because what I'm hearing is that Goff's surgery for his hand was actually a hand enhancement surgery, an augmentation to make it bigger.
It was a long way to go for this joke.
Then I think they could be really dangerous. But your point on the Seahawks, the first half of the year, they scored 30 every single week. The last 8 weeks, they've scored 30 once, and it was against the Jets. Even yesterday, they had 6 points going into the fourth quarter before they finally got it together against San Francisco. Jenna,
that's the game they want to play, though.
For Seattle, I know, but so here's their hope, Brandon. You have to marry the offensive performance of the first half with the defensive performance of the second half. If that's the team they get in the postseason, they can go to the Super Bowl.
They'll be okay.
If not, I think they can beat the Rams, but I don't think they can go on the road to beat a Green Bay, which they'd have to.
All right, we're moving on. Tom Brady and the Bucs headed to our nation's capital. The Washington football team hung on last night for the win over the Eagles to get in. Nick, you've been on this matchup for weeks as a possible upset. Should Tampa be on upset alert here?
I'm so excited for this game. 5 weeks ago, when Washington was in third place in their division, and Tampa was tied for the lead in the NFC South, I said this is going to be the 4-5. Tampa's going to get the number 1 wild card. Washington's going to come back and win the division. And by God, it's the game we're getting. So if you know anything about me, I'm not abandoning this beautiful baby of a take right now, during infancy. No. I'm tripling down. Chase Young is going to eat the Bucs offensive line alive. The Washington football team has won 5 straight games started by Alex Smith, including 4 straight on the road. They don't have to go on the road. They're at home. And by the way, Washington, you're 7.5-point underdogs. That's what the world thinks of you. They think that Tom Brady is going to go into your building and slap you around. Tell that to Chase Young. Tell that to Montez Sweat. Because what I see in Tom Brady's future is a lot of this. Because they're coming after him, and he's getting beat up. I got Washington. Washington wins a shocker. That's the upset of the weekend.
Okay.
So Nick, you're excited So Wiles, let me jump in here really quickly. Yeah, so Nick, you're excited about this game, and you're right. You've been talking about it for weeks. I'm also excited about this because there's only 2 things that really makes this show spicy. When we're talking about Baker Mayfield and we're talking about Tom Brady. So you think that the Washington football team is going to win because they have that defensive line at front 7. I truly believe, and I said it, this team is reminiscent of the 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers. They get the job done, Wiles. And you know what? We're going to come on this show, and I'm going to ask you to retract everything you've ever said about Tom Brady. So I'm excited about this game, Wiles.
Okay. Has Chase Young been on the team the whole year? Because all of a sudden we act like he just showed up in the last few games, like he's just there for the win. Team's not that good. I hate to break it to everybody. They're just not that good. I'm sorry, they're not. If Jalen Hurts stayed in the game, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs. Tampa seems to win a lot of games. Here's the problem. And I was rooting for them. They're a fun team to root for Ron Rivera. This quote this sound that I'm about to play, Jenna, has the air of like a young boxer trying to challenge the champ, and then when the matchup usually happens, it's like blammo, game's over. Can you play the Chase Young sound, please?
Tom Brady, I'm coming. I want Tom. Tom Brady, I'm coming. I want Tom.
Doesn't it take a little something away that he's skipping? I mean, maybe a trot or a jog, but you're skipping while you're also making the threat. I feel like it doesn't mesh or match. I don't know, Brandon. What do you think?
Only you would see that. Only you would see that, Jenna. Only you.
It drove me crazy.
I don't know if he wants Tom Brady.
Yeah, you know who didn't want to see Chase Young face Tom Brady? Our old friend Gisele Bündchen, who last we heard from her talking about Tom getting beat up and being not supported in New England, can't pass and catch him. This has a lot of it reminds me a lot of that Giants front 4, which I know Wilds pretends never happened, but a mediocre NFC East team once upon a time beat a far better Tom Brady and a far better overall team with far better coaching.
When is the games? So Sunday? Saturday?
I'm just saying.
The game's Saturday.
The game's Saturday.
I can't wait.
Can't wait.
Right. We're going to watch it together. Washington. We need to watch it together.
Come on, Washington.
Before we go, I do want to mention Fox Super 6 has already given away over $3.5 million. Download the free Fox Super 6 app for your chance to win some of Terry Bradshaw's money. For much more information and scores and all of it, head to the Fox Sports app. We have much more coming up. This is First Things First. On Thursday, don't miss a classic Big Ten Hoops showdown on FS1. All-American Tracy Jackson-Davis leading Indiana against 6th-ranked Wisconsin. If only we had a Wisconsin fan on our show. Oh, okay. That's Thursday, 7
Watch
Eastern
out for those
FS1.
charges, Indiana.
Fox Sports.
Guard your ankles.
Indiana, dude.
The Fox Sports app, rather. Head to Cleveland, where the Browns are postseason bound. Yes, the Browns.
Oh.
Yep, Cleveland. Yeah, it's really happening. For the first time since
The Browns and Nick
2002,
Wright.
Cleveland back in the playoffs after beating a Steelers team without a lot of key starters. Still, it came down to stopping a 2-point conversion to win. But Browns are in. Here's Baker Mayfield with a little perspective.
Yeah, for our team to win 11 games this year over a lot of ups and downs, to learn new systems on both offense and defense over Zoom meetings, to have a lot of new faces and get to know each other in a very different way, and to come out and find a way to get in the playoffs in a division that has 3 teams in the playoffs. That's pretty damn special. And so I'm proud of this team, but, like I said, that, we're not satisfied. And that's the best part is we've scratched and clawed and found a way to get in but when we had to. And all we wanted was a chance, and now we have one.
I love when people wear a hat that just has a noun on it. All right, so it's Browns Steelers again next week. Nick, did Baker prove his doubters wrong? I guess I should ask myself that question, but instead I will ask you, did Baker prove all his doubters wrong?
If they're being honest about what they said about him going into the year, then yeah. Because this is a franchise that not just over the last 20 years has been a mess, over the last 20 months was a mess. They were 30 months. 0-16, 1-15. Freddie Kitchens is the coach. Greg Williams is in there with some position of power. My old buddy Todd Haley's in a power struggle. The whole thing is a disaster. And going into this year, they were in the toughest division in football, the best division in football. Once again, as Baker said, learning a new offense. I think this is the 4th offense Baker Mayfield has learned in his 3 years. In the oddest season we've seen maybe ever in the NFL, and they won 11 games. Now, does that mean they can win the Super Bowl? I don't think they can win the Super Bowl this year. I don't think they can get to the Super Bowl this year. Does it mean, though, that the narrative of will the Browns pick up Baker's 5th-year option, that has to go away now? Should the Browns move on from Baker Mayfield? That is gone, at least for the time being, and for the time being the next few years. He is their guy. He's the best quarterback they've had since Bernie Kosar, at least. And this team should be incredibly proud of what it accomplished, understanding that if they were in the AFC South instead of the AFC North, they might have won 13 damn games. And so, Brandon, I think he proved a lot of the skeptics wrong, and I will go a step further. I think he conducted himself pretty damn well on and off the field throughout the year, and those people had questions about both, about on and off the field, and I think he handled himself beautifully. Okay,
so Nick, before I even answer the question, I want to talk about 3 plants, 3 trees that has flimsy branches, and you should stay away from planting these trees, all right? That's the female ginkgo, that's the eastern white pine, and that's the red oaks. So guys, if you're out there and you're into landscaping and planting trees, or if you have a landscaping company coming, stay away from those trees because the branches, they're just not strong, they're not stable. So buddy, I want to give you credit because you're like one of 3 people in the entire world that went out on those branches and said, Baker Mayfield in the Browns will probably go to the playoffs. They'll turn this thing around. We had knocked down arguments all year about Baker Mayfield and the Browns. So I have to give you credit for standing up for something that most people wouldn't. Okay, so to answer the question, here's what I would say. I don't think that he proved his doubters wrong. I think that discussion happens next year. I think next year we jump into, okay, is Baker Mayfield the guy? Is he the one that can get this team over the hump, meaning get him to the Super Bowl? Is he the guy for the next 10, 15 years? I think this is something to be celebrated because of everything that you said all year, that this team has been in the bowels of the NFL for 20 plus years. And for them to come in after so many different offensive coordinators and philosophies and coaches, and him lead his team to victory, lead his team to the playoffs is a huge accomplishment. I don't care how they got in. They are in, and that needs to be applauded and celebrated. Wilds.
Yeah, so I'm happy. They're super fun to root for, Nick, and I'm happy for everyone who roots for the Browns, right? My buddy Bilo roots for the Browns. Happy for him. Happy for Drew Carey, tweeted out. I'm happy for LeBron, who, after watching his favorite team get eliminated, Dallas Cowboys, got to see his favorite team make the playoffs, the Cleveland Browns. So it's a win for everybody. But I think it's a short-lived celebration, Nick, because the Steelers team, they're all coming back, and I think Mike Tomlin played this thing perfectly. Got sacked one time yesterday. I don't think this is going to be a different story once Cam Hayward's in there, and once TJ Watt is in there, and once Big Ben is in there, and he's had a chance to let that noodle arm that you like to call rest. I think the Browns are going to be sort of one and done. Not one and done. They'd have to win a game, so it'd be like probably none and done. So
no,
the question
that's
to you
one
is
and
this.
done. That's right. One and done is right.
You win, you go one.
That's how you say
win.
it.
Okay. Anyways,
yeah, one and done.
Sure.
Right.
I take it my college basketball stuff confused. Then they declare for the NBA draft. So the question is this: if Baker plays poorly and they lose to the Steelers, if TJ Watt has a day and Cam Hayward has a day, do you think it's still going to be flowers and parades in Cleveland?
I don't know. Of course, there won't be parades. There's no parades, but
not parades.
Listen, I think that typically, when a young quarterback plays in his first playoff game, the expectation isn't that he'll play well. Not everybody's Patrick Mahomes. Most people are Josh Allen. You're fumbling the ball and throwing backwards laterals in your first playoff game because the moment's too big for you. Now, the very next year, you can come back and be a fraudulent MVP candidate. Maybe Baker can be that. I don't know. But what I do know is that the Browns now get to go into next season either way. If they upset the Steelers, Brandon, in Pittsburgh, this season is a wild success, a massive success.
Yeah.
And if they lose in Pittsburgh, this season is still, you reflect on it a month later, Brandon, you say, damn, we did a lot. We went from laughingstock to 11-win playoff team.
Yeah, but back to Wild's question really quick. If they lose and Baker plays bad, then it's going to be an issue. Because here's the two things that I want to see. Let's go with the scenario they lose. If they lose, Baker Mayfield turn the ball over, that's a problem because there's two things that he needs to improve on and continue to trend in the right direction to be that guy to prove his doubters wrong. Number one is protecting the ball. He's done that the last, 7-8 games? There's only been two. Yeah, ball security, job security, yours and mine. So there's only been two games where, those turnovers have cost them. And then the second thing is, how do you deal with adversity? I want to see him stand strong. If you lose this game, you don't play well against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't want to see a 2-minute press conference. I want to see you sit there for 10, 15 minutes, answer all the questions, and then be a pro. Those two things is what I need to see from Baker Mayfield before I can say he's the guy.
That's fair.
Yep.
Whenever they lose in the playoffs, you got to sit there and answer the questions. The question I have is, if they win the game, will all of a sudden Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, and Dak Prescott start getting absolutely excoriated on this show for their commercials because Baker will have accomplished more in the NFL than those guys? And I see those guys, Heisman House, Bose, Dak's doing mattresses. I see Deshaun keeps telling us, I had a 12.2% chance. Watch this, whoop-de-whoop. I'm just curious, are those guys the next guys we're going to kill for their commercials, or is that only a Baker thing, Jen, and then it's going to be gone?
No, but you'll remind us, buddy.
I just don't know.
Back to our top story. Why did Doug Pederson pull his quarterback while only trailing by 3? It's a conundrum. We'll break it down next. First things first.
I love Deshaun, but if I have to hear one more time.
On Thursday, don't miss a classic Big Ten Hoops showdown on FS1. All-American Tracy Jackson Davis leading the Indiana Hoosiers against the 6th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers. That is Thursday, 7 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. All right, it is now time for Stories to Start Your Morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks. Built to serve. And we are in Philadelphia, Washington needing a win to get in last night, but an Eagles win would mean the Giants would be in, which made it all the more head-scratching when Doug Pederson pulled his new quarterback, Jalen Hurts, when the team was trailing by 3 earlier in the fourth. In came, Nate Sudfeld. Pretty much handed the win and the division to Washington. The rumors swirled after the game, centering around draft positioning, why do it? So, Doug Pederson, what were you thinking?
Yes, I was coaching and to win. Yes, that was my decision solely. Nate has obviously been here for 4 years, and I felt that he deserved an opportunity to get some snaps. And listen, if there's anything out there that thinks that I was not trying to win the game, I mean, you know, Ertz is out there, Brandon Graham's out there, Darius Slay's out there. You know, all our top guys are still on the field at the end. So we were going to win the game.
All right, Brandon, what was your reaction to Pederson saying he was, quote, coaching to win? We'll get to Wilds in a second. Brandon, I'll start with you, though.
Yeah, so look, Nick, I thought this was a good decision. The reality is we've seen player after player, coach after coach in all sports step up to the podium and lie to us. You can't go out there and be politically correct. Like, you have to be politically correct. So when you look at Doug Pederson, what he really wanted to say to us was, look, guys, we're playing for nothing. We can maintain this, what is the number four overall pick. I need to see who I have in Nate Sudfeld. This is a guy that we really like. I played with his brother. I played in that division, so I know they're high on these guys. But he doesn't want to tell you guys that because he has to make a decision. If I'm going to pay this guy $4 to $6 million to be the backup to Jalen Hurts going into this offseason. So I thought it was a good decision because you have to, as a head coach, general manager, and even owners, you have to have this balance of building the team for now and also building the team for the next 5-10 years. So how do we sustain success? And I think they know who they have in Jalen Hurts. They know what this dude needs to work on. They know where his strengths lie. So they need to give him the note to say, look, you did a phenomenal job for us, showing us just enough we can move on from Carson Wentz. Now in the offseason, you work on these things, we'll be right where we need to be. But we need to protect our team. We need to sit you down and figure out if this Sudfeld guy can be your backup, Nick.
Yeah. And why so here's where I fall on this. I was shocked at the level of outrage directed at Doug Pederson. When we saw Mike Tomlin do, if this is egregious, a far more egregious version of this, and it impact a far better team. If the Browns won, it made it very difficult for the Dolphins to make the playoffs. And yet Mike Tomlin looked around and said, guess what? Guess how much I care about the Dolphins' playoff hopes? Nothing. Screw them. I'm worried about my team. And nobody was like, oh, my God, the poor Dolphins. The 10-win Dolphins, by the way. Not the 10-loss awful Dolphins. It's the 10-loss awful started 1-7, 31st in points Giants that everyone is now crying clown tears for. Oh, the Giants deserve better. The Giants deserve nothing, by the way. Nothing. They were fortunate to even be alive. Most years in NFL history, they'd have been eliminated from the playoffs before Thanksgiving. So the fact that their fans even got to think they were alive, happy for them. But Doug Pederson, if the argument is he didn't give the Eagles the best chance to win, so be it. Then I'll listen to that argument. But this idea that he bastardized the integrity of the game when there's a million reasons he might have wanted to go to Nate Sudfeld. He might have just simply wanted to say, you know what, you've been here for 4 years. You've never really gotten to play. Your contract's running out. And we have actually already figured out we're probably not bringing you back. But maybe you could do something special. Also, Wilds, Collinsworth and Michaels knew this was a possibility. So you know what that tells me? Jalen Hurts probably knew it too. which is probably why he let Jalen go for that 4th down 3 at the end of the 3rd quarter, essentially saying, this is your chance to win the game, give us a lead before I take you out. I just don't understand the idea that Doug Pederson has a responsibility to help the Giants. No, he doesn't. He has a responsibility to coach the Eagles however best he sees fit, and his plan throughout the week was to get Sudfeld some reps. And by the way, Jalen wasn't lighting the world on fire. Jalen had 7 completions. So I was shocked at the level of outrage directed at Doug Pederson, Wilds.
I wasn't. It sits wrong in your core when you watch someone not try to win the game. As a sports fan, that's why there was so much outrage. If Doug Pederson got up there, Brandon, and said what you said, I think it'd be fine. If he said that during the week, which he insinuated that there was reports out that Sudfeld would get some reps, that's fine. But to go up and have a few good men moment where it's like, then why the code red? Why lie about it? Why are you saying that you played to win? You weren't. Because I don't think anyone here is saying, yes, Sudfeld gave us the best chance to win, except Doug Pederson, Nick. That's where the pushback is. And I know the pushback came during the game on social media, but to listen to him say, like, yeah, that put us in the best position to win, that's just not true.
No. Hold on. Wait. He didn't say it put us in the best position. He said I was still trying to win. There's a distinction there. If they were throwing the game, hold on. Wait, Wilds, wait a second. If they're throwing the game,
because if I'm trying to get my,
then why don't they just start Sudfeld? If Sudfeld is so terrible, no one would have blamed him. If he said on Tuesday, guys, here's the deal. Jalen has shown us what he needs to show us. Carson Wentz is in all emo mode, leaking to the world he wants to be traded. So there's a guy who's been practicing with us for 4 years, has never gotten a start. We're starting him. No one would have blamed him. NBC wouldn't have put this game at night, which is really the low-key big issue is if this game was at 1 o'clock, nobody would have cared. But it was the night game we were all watching. Yeah. He let Jalen play for 3 quarters, and then, they tried to win. They tried to win with an inferior player, just like the Chiefs yesterday, Brandon. Tried to win with Chad Henne, but they knew they probably wouldn't.
Robot Chad Henne. Yeah, and Nick, I just think it's all about the big picture here, right? You're going into a Week 17 game that really means nothing to you, and this is the opportunity to see who you have. If I'm coach, I'm actually throwing more guys out there that are bubble guys that I don't know what to do with. So for me, this was the best decision they could have made for the Philadelphia Eagles because you have a guy that you like, and you need to figure out if you're going to bring him back. Like, that's one of the most valuable positions you can have on the NFL roster is the backup quarterback. And you got to pay these guys $5-6 million.
What we all can agree on, Jenna, no one should feel bad for the Giants.